In this presentation, we're going to assess three different organizations in respect to their circular strategy. The three organizations we chose are Finlayson, Amcor, and Hartwall. We will first present them individually, and then in the end we will compare them. So let's begin with Finlayson. Finlayson is a Finnish company whose main business is focused on manufacturing and resale of textiles. Their vision is to improve people's daily lives through beautiful and high quality products, but also through concrete actions. Many of these actions are related to responsibility, which is in the core of their whole business. Finlayson wants to increase the amount of sustainable materials used, such as recycled materials, and they have also significantly reduced the volume of packaging materials, such as plastic. Finlayson also pays attention to human rights, and this means assessing their own operations and well-being of staff, but also all the members of the supply chain. Finlayson is also fighting against the climate change by aiming to reduce their carbon footprint. Also, high quality of the products and low number of customer reclamations are important. In addition to these, Finlayson wants to ensure full transparency within the supply chain and other stakeholders. The most important stakeholders are customers, staff, and manufacturing partners. I also want to quickly mention here that one of the biggest challenges in the textile industry are the long supply chains. And this also impacts the implementation of circular strategy. Next, I will briefly go through the circular strategy of Finlayson. The most important circular business model relates to resource efficiency and recycling, but also to some extent product life extension and renewability. Finlayson's circular economy solutions are rag rugs and towels made from old sheets and jeans, and these materials are collected from customers, and in return they get discount vouchers they can use in the stores. Finlayson also uses recycled plastic bottles as a material for fillings inside duvets and pillows. They also have sheets with a 50-year-long guarantee, which is based on the product life extension business model. Finlayson also uses renewable energy here in Finland. The first circular economy solutions were launched in 2016, which means Finlayson is still at early stages when it comes to their circular strategy. And in the next slide, I will provide some recommendations on how to enhance their circular strategy. There are many ways to enhance the circular strategy, and I want to mention three ways to do so. As I mentioned earlier, long supply chains can produce a problem for the circular strategy. There are many intermediates between many manufacturing stages, which means that deeper research is required to make sure all the partners follow the same guidelines and rules. Secondly, Finlayson should increase the amount of recycled materials. In 2018, 12.5% of the materials used were responsible, but the amount of recycled materials were even smaller. Also, I think more cooperation with the stakeholders is needed, not only in Finland but also globally. One company has very limited powers to influence the whole industry, and this is why collaboration between different actors is crucial. The textile industry creates a certain framework for Finlayson to operate in. In Finland, there are some technological improvements that are required, for example, on the sorting infrastructure. But now let's move on to the next organization.
So let's now take a look to our second case company, Amcor. Amcor is a multinational corporation originating from Australia and listed in New York Stock Exchange. They are a global leader in developing and producing responsible packaging for food, beverages, pharmaceutical and medical products, home and personal care products, etc. They are certainly a big player with a revenue of $12.5 billion and operating in more than 40 countries. In their strategy, they have made this 2025 Amcor Pledge for the Planet, in which they promise to turn all their packaging to be recyclable or reusable by year 2025. In terms of recycling, their focus is to increase access to recycling infrastructure for flexible packaging, and reusability of products is advanced by promoting products' refillability and returnability. Amcor sees sustainability as their most exciting growth opportunity and has therefore taken circularity as the key of their entire business. This means that all decisions and processes in the company are made focusing on promoting circular economy, and circularity works as a baseline for all actions in Amcor. Amcor's business model applies recyclability and reusability, and their main objective is to close the material loop in packaging. Amcor's operations are very circularity driven, and around 7.7 billion of their 12.5 billion revenue comes from designed to be recycled products. Amcor has an elaborate sustainability strategy, and they are reporting about their success annually. On the bottom of the slide, you can see Amcor's circular strategy presented in a figure. Their circular strategy consists of 3 actions Amcor is taking on 3 different levels: innovating, collaborating, and informing. On the bottom level in the figure, the company is designing new innovative products and packaging materials that in the best case affect the entire industry to improve recyclability. In the middle level, Amcor is collaborating with governments, non-governmental organizations, and private businesses to improve circular infrastructures and system designs. On the top level, with the biggest audience, the company is informing circular principles to brands and most importantly to consumers. Their goal is to positively change people's behavior to support circularity and product recycling. Based on Amcor's circular strategy, there are some recommendations I would like to bring up. First of all, we all understand that global waste problem is a wicked problem that requires all levels of society to take action. Amcor is doing their part in designing and promoting circular economy really well, but it needs to better engage consumers to its mission. In Amcor's case, engaging consumers often happens through brand cooperation, but true engaging of consumers requires proper understanding of their insights. This remains as a challenge. If we really want to eliminate waste, I see reusability as a driving force to that goal. Amcor has recognized this opportunity, although reusable solutions currently cover only a small percentage of their business. The market is though increasing, with refill programs more than doubling over the last 3 years. The idea of zero waste packaging is excellent, so I believe that this opportunity should be invested in. One part of the complex problem is that circular infrastructure systems differ a lot regionally and culturally. An excellent example of well-developed circular system is the Finnish Palpa system that will be addressed later in this video. On the other hand, many regions do not have any circular infrastructure or systems for instance, beverage packaging. It remains a significant challenge for Amcor to participate in as many as possible partnerships with regional governments and organizations to further circularity and consumers' participation. I believe that the change should be led by national governments.
Hartwall is a Finnish company in the beverage industry, and it was established in 1836. One of the principles of a circular economy, reuse, has been in use by the company since nearly the beginning. The refillable glass bottle was first introduced in the mid-1800s. The company's own principles include the mention of being and becoming the most responsible actor in its field. Compared to other companies of similar size in Finland, Hartwall acts out the principles of a circular economy quite well. Though I'd like to argue that this can also in part be attributed to the beverage industry as a whole in Finland, and especially the deposit system in use for beverage containers in Finland. Circularity has been in the core of the business since the beginning, as mentioned in the last slide. At the moment, there are several different models of refillable containers which can be brought back to use through a system overseen by the Finnish Palpa. This is short for Suomen Palautuspakkaus Oy. This company or this non-profit organization is governed in part by Hartwall and other actors in the beverage industry. On average, 93% of all beverage containers used by consumers in Finland are recycled across the industry. This statistic has been calculated from 3 different statistics, and it includes aluminum cans, PET bottles, and also glass bottles. In addition to this, Hartwall makes an effort to ensure the reuse of the containers utilized in restaurants, but also in schools, events, and other such locations. Even though the beverage industry as a whole, compared to other industries in Finland, has quite a good situation regarding the extent of the circular economy due to the deposit-based recycling system, there are still some future recommendations I would like to give to Hartwall regarding the lessening of their environmental impact. The first point is in regards to transport. The transportation cycle of a customer factory is quite heavy for the environment, especially in a country as large as Finland. Here, some kind of innovations or partnerships could help lessen the environmental impact of the business with some kind of route planning or such system to be put in place that might lessen the amount of kilometers driven or something like that could help lessen the impact on the environment as a whole. The other point is the packaging, and I'm not talking about the actual containers, the bottles and cans. I'm talking about the plastic wrappings, the cardboard wrappings around the containers. They are easily the containers are easily recyclable, and also the outer layer of the packaging is also easily recyclable, but there is no kind of incentive to recycle the packaging, the outer packaging, and this is something that could be changed on a national level. Or the other point that could be made is the innovations in the containers themselves. Could we somehow come up with a solution that would eliminate the need for the packaging itself? So these are some of the points that could be looked into by different larger teams.
Now that we have looked at all 3 companies individually, it's time to compare them. All of the companies use recycling in their circular business model. Finlayson uses recycled textiles and plastic as a material for new products. They also pay attention to the quality of products and making them last longer. And in a smaller role is the use of wind energy. Amcor also focuses on recyclability and closing the material loop by making responsible packagings for food, beverages, and so on. Hartwall's business model also highlights the recycling of containers through an industry-wide system, which includes the containers sold to customers, but also the ones used by restaurants and bars. If we look at the extent to which their business model relates to circularity, we can see bigger differences. Finlayson is still at early stages with their circular strategy, and one reason for this is that the textile industry as a whole is still in a take-off stage when it comes to circularity. On the other hand, Amcor and Hartwall are at the other end of the spectrum as forerunners of circularity. Amcor is a global leader that really has adopted circularity as the core of their business. Hartwall acts out the principles of a circular economy quite well, and some principles have been used since the 1850s when Hartwall's first recyclable glass bottle was used. All three companies collaborate with many different actors within the industry they operate in. For Finlayson, the three most important stakeholders are staff, customers, and the manufacturing partners. It is very important to interact with the customers especially and make them more aware of the possibilities that recycling textiles can have. Amcor has a similar approach. They engage with the industry by designing recyclable packaging, collaborating with governments and businesses, and they also want to affect the behavior of customers. Hartwall's key partner is Palpa, and along with other actors in the industry, Hartwall is one of the owners in this non-profit organization. One big difference for Hartwall is that they don't need to focus that much on informing customers, since the recycling of containers and bottles is very familiar for consumers. But the situation is very different for textiles, as we shall see in the next slide.
So now that we have compared the three companies to each other, let's take a look how Finland compares to the rest of the world in these three fields of business presented in the video. Generally speaking, we can see Finland progressive in all these industries. The general Finnish system has been developed to support circularity and responsibility in business. In terms of textile industry in Finland, some improvement is needed. Only 20% of annual 70 million kilograms of textile waste are recycled. There will though be some changes following the new EU law in 2025. Finnish textile recycling system needs technological improvements as well as better collection and sorting systems. Although there is a wide interest towards a systematic circular economy system in textile recycling, Finland so far does not have industrial level recycling system. Transition to more circular system requires investments and support for ecological solutions and innovations. Globally, textile industry is one of the most polluting industries. Very small percentage of textiles are recycled. Circularity is still in a take-off stage, and the future views are not very optimistic. Regional differences are huge. The situation of textile recycling is weakest in Asia and Africa. Improvements are needed in terms of legislation, infrastructure, and consumer behavior. Recycling textiles is commonly seen as difficult and troublesome. The Finnish beverage industry is on the forefront in circular economy solutions through the smart deposit system. The system is backed up by the government, and non-compliance of the system leads to additional tax of 51 cents per liter. The system encourages companies to high commitment of circularity in their business. The deposit system has been very successful, as in 2019, over 90% of all recyclable containers were recycled. Comparing to the rest of the world, the Finnish system is incredibly successful. In the US, aluminum cans were recycled in 50% rate, and in Europe the rate was 74.5 in 2017. Finland is therefore in its own category with over 95% recycling rate. Packaging industry does not provide a surprise in the comparison. Finland has some global forerunner companies in circular packaging innovating and design. For instance, Huhtamäki is one of the world leading producers of carton cups and takeaway packages. Stora Enso has also designed sustainable materials to be utilized in package design. Many Finnish food producers actively seek to minimize the plastic waste and have designed their packaging to be recycled. Globally, packaging waste, and especially plastic, forms a big problem. In US, only 28% of packaged plastic is recycled, and in Europe the percentage is 40%. Packaging waste acts as an indicator of a bigger problem, global consumption, which is continuously increasing and forcing governments to rethink their ways of minimizing the waste issue.
And to conclude our presentation, in which we have first presented the companies we have examined, then given the future recommendations for each company, and after the comparison of the countries and industries through these presented companies, we can conclude we can leave this presentation with some concluding remarks. And well, first of all, when compared with each other, the companies we have chosen really highlight the differences between industries regarding circular economies. And as an example, I will use the beverage industry, which utilizes the principles of a circular economy because the service provided has been cheaper to produce through it. I'm sure that in the 1850s, when the brown glass bottle that can be reused was invented and first used, the term circular economy was not in mind, and the sustainability of the actions were not taken into account. But it was purely because it was cheaper to work through this. And this is a quite fun ethical dilemma that has been brushed over in some of the other courses regarding international business. And is it more morally okay to do something because it is smarter in a business mindset, or because you really want to do something good? But this is a question that will be left for the ethics of business and courses related to that. But the difference between the beverage industry and textile industry is quite natural because of these business models and the things we have taken into account. The next point I want to make before we end this is that though all of the companies have made efforts towards a more environmentally friendly world, potential improvements can still be found. And this can be seen in our future recommendations, because if we can give out recommendations during a few weeks of working tirelessly on a group work, I am sure that there is still potential to be found, even more so. And in a global comparison, Finland really shines in these aspects. And of course, there is work to be done here in Finland, but globally even more so. And this just goes to highlight Finland's role in the battle against climate change and environmental impacts. As the innovator, we are able to create innovations that might take some wind under their under the wings of other countries, because for example the deposit system, or some other innovations, they can be utilized in other countries as well. So when we start to think about it, the impact of Finland's and the people of Finland, our actions are not that small, or as small as we probably like to think, because any innovations we make can be then used and expanded in other countries. But this is something I wanted to end upon because we wanted to end upon because we are talking about how to make a difference, and how us Finns make a difference is truly through the innovations that can be exported to other countries. And yes, on behalf of the whole team, Julia Kukkonen, Johannes Korhonen, and myself, Aku Lehojärvi, I'd like to thank you all for listening, whoever is listening to this, and we hope that you enjoyed, and we hope that you will have a very nice day after listening to our presentation. Thank you.